Welcome to the paint layer video. This might be a good one, guys. This might be a good one. So hang on. Here's the question. I think on some of the ceilings that Chief might create, you get a paint layer. And I think some people say, why do we have a paint layer? We don't need that paint layer. Well, I think there might be a reason for it. And I'm going to talk to you about some walls here. I built this square building right here with 4 walls. Each wall is different. NP1 and NP2, these are actually exterior walls that have been inverted. So the exterior face is actually facing inside. So it's the outside, which is the chipboard layer, that's facing outside of the building. I'm going to show you why in a second. NP1, if you look at this, NP1, define this drywall on the inside, okay, and it's green. It's a 1/2 inch thick, okay? Got it. So NP1 and NP2, that's all it has. It just has a chipboard on that face. Now NPP1 and NPPB2, they have, I'm going to call it a paint layer. I'm going to tell you if you make it 0, you're not going to get anything. It won't have any effect. If you make it 1/64 inch thick, it will default to 1/32. That's about as small as you can get. Now, if you have your dimensions set up that that it rounds off to the 1/16 scale or 1/16, then I don't think this will even be effect. It won't affect your dimensions or anything. But I chose 1/32 for my paint layer, and I made this one orange. So or strawberry. So I made them all different. Now, here's the question: why would you do that? Let's look at how NP1 and NP2 meet here at the corner. How does NP1 and NP2 meet here at the corner? Check that out. It has a thickness right here, doesn't it? So if it has a thickness, and if I look at it from this view, am I going to see that extra line right there? So I took an elevation looking at this blue wall to see if I see that end piece right there. And so here it is right here. Do I see it? Darn right I do. There it is right there. If I turn the color off because you're going to send this to layout, you get that extra line. Remember those extra lines that we sometimes get? And then we have to come back and delete them? Because of course, if you turn your line weights on and if the line weights are thick enough, if they're thick enough, they'll merge into one. It's not a big deal, I guess. But here, I guess my line weights aren't thick enough, and so I got a double line there. That's where the double lines come from. Okay? So let's go to the opposite corner here, and where I have the 1/32 inch thick. Now, see, that's almost imperceptible. I mean, it's there. You can see it. But it's not nearly as noticeable as this over here. So now let's take a look at this wall right there to see if I get that double line. And that wall right there is NPP2. So if I take an elevation of NPP2, do I see the double line? There's my NPP2, F12. Should be on the right-hand side. Where is it? I guess this is it right here. I see it. But it's so small that it's really going to be imperceptible. Let's turn off the colors because this is going to go to layout. Turn off the colors, F8. Oh, it's not in vector mode there. Now you can see the double lines. Turn off the colors, F8. Now turn on the line weights. Essentially disappears. You got the difference? I got my line weights on over here, and I get that double line. Over here, I don't. So that is an advantage to using a paint layer. And if you make it thin enough, it really shouldn't affect your dimensions because your default dimensions are set at 1/16 or whatever. So it's going to round. You know, if you have cabinets you think about it. It'll work for you. That's the elevation. Yeah. And now suppose I turn off the colors of this thing. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I think, I make my line weights heavy enough that I don't get the different layers in plan view because I really don't care. I don't care. Shit, man, when we were drawing by hand, we didn't see that stuff, but it gives me a nice bold line and it looks okie doke to me. I think. I mean, I don't know why. I don't know why this one's so super thick right there. Oh, because I think it's the color I chose. Isn't that interesting? 8. Blue. Yeah, there you go. I mean, if you, I don't get the printing and color stuff yet. I print. What do I do? I do print and color. I wish I knew if I'm not going to get into that. So anyway, that's the paint layer thing. So I think, when this thing has a ceiling, let's say U, structure, ceiling finish. Oh, this is my deal. So here's the deal. Control new. This is right out of the box. If I build this thing of Chiefs, let's see what they have. U, ceiling finish. They have the color bone right there. What's this? That's drywall. I'm going to plan material. I'm going to make it birch honey. And this is color bone. So, okay, so here's a question. If I look up in here, am I going to see the color bone or the honey? Shift J. Color bone. So even though that has a 0 thickness, I'm seeing the color bone. You got what I'm saying? And I think that really might be important when you get into the dormer conditions where you have a dormer roof meeting a sloped roof or something like that. And if you've ever noticed, you will see a thickness of the drywall there because it doesn't have a finish on it, doesn't have a paint layer. So the paint layer that Chief uses, there's actually a reason for it. So you don't get that what I'm getting at is you'll get a very, very sharp look. Don't save. Back to this drawing here. Back to this right here. This is what I'm getting at. See, I'm going to get a real, since this is so thin, I'm going to get a real sharp edge there. You're not going to really even notice that from any view that you have a thickness to it. That one overlaps the other. But if you look at this one over here, where I don't have the paint layers, that's going to be much more perceptible. So I think there is really a reason for Chief's thing. And so let's just select, wait, I'm going to select one of my paint layers, paint walls. Watch this, U. And remember I told you that I made this at I'm going to change this to 1/64th. Watch what happens. 1/64th. It's going to default to 1/32nd, okay? Suppose I make it 1/28th. 1/128th. It's going to default to 0. Okay, I'm going to leave it at 0. Do you think I have this color strawberry? Or do you think I'm going to have drywall 1, which is this layer? So this is sort of interesting here. I bet I have the drywall layer. So the paint shows up on ceilings, but it will not show up on walls. Ah, I'm wrong. It still has the thickness to it. Okay. Well, that's good. But before I didn't have that. I didn't get my paint is what I'm getting at. So I had to give it a thickness. That's what I'm getting at. So if I come over to this wall here, U, and change this to 0, do you think I get this Maya gold, or do you think I get drywall. Now I'm going to count on Maya Gold. I didn't think that before I did this test right here because it didn't work for me before. Let's see if I get the Maya Gold. And there's no Z fighting, I don't think. That's what's also there. I'm back to the drywall. See why? See, check that out. See, I made that 0. You know what I'm saying? See, I made that 0. So I don't know why this one is 0 and I get the paint, but it doesn't register. I mean, it registers the thickness right there. I can see the thickness. Cancel. Let's go over to here. U. Cancel. Tab. U. Define. Oh, how about if I make it 1/28th? Should default to 0. Now let's see what happens. I bet I get the color. I bet I get the color. You got to start with 1/128th and default to 0, and I get the color. There it is. You can't make it 0. You got to start at 1/128th. It'll default to 0, but there really is a thickness to it. And so now that's really just 1/128th inch. And now if you take a back clip cross section, you look at it, you get this real super thin line. You won't even notice it. Oh, man. So, and this goes back to my thing that says, if you watch any of the wall layer videos, I had decided that every wall really needs to have 2 layers to it. Each main layer, what's that term I'm thinking of? Tab U. Main layer. Each main layer should have 2 more layers to it because it goes back to. You should have watched the wall layer videos, and you'll understand why. God, this is freaking awesome, man. This is freaking awesome. And if you saw my the invisible wall trick deals, I was getting a double line sometimes. This is it, man. This solves a lot of problems. Anyway, I'm done. This is okay. So what came out of this? Every main layer needs to have 2 layers. And here on the exterior face, I have plywood in my stucco or my plywood in my siding and whatever. You know what I'm saying? I don't deal with the building paper. In fact, here's the point. If you use building paper, I would start and define it as 1/128th of an inch thick. It'll default to 0, but it's really there. But I wouldn't even use it. I think in most circumstances, my advice is to have 2 layers on 2 layers on each side of the main layer. On the exterior face, we put plywood on for shear. We put plywood on the exterior face anyway, and then we put a finish on it. Right? Done. And I'm not going to even talk about material stuff right now either. And on the interior face, have 2 layers again. This is so nice. Hang on, I'm going to try one more thing. The blue. Okay, so F6, blue. Here's my blue. I'm going to try something here. Control C, Control. I don't think this is going to work. I don't know. I'm going to try something. 1, 2. I'm going to make this. I'm putting the interior walls on the inside face this time. Okay. Now I'm going to try to paint a wall, one wall, and not to paint the whole room. We understand. Give me a second here. I'm going to show you something. I don't want that. I don't want that. F6. Okay, we understand that. Where's my, oh shit. Where's my library? It's way over here. Okay, so materials. Tile. You understand that if you paint the exterior face of a building, one wall is going to get painted. Just one wall. It's the exterior face. Okay? But suppose I do that on the interior. I'm betting all 4 walls get painted, but just because I added this paint layer, maybe it does. Okay. Anyway, that's what I expected. I just wanted to test it out. All right, that is great video. Great, great. Thank you.